And we are back here on the GSMC football podcast. And for the third part of the show, we are now going to talk about the head coaching spots now all being filled, and the fact that there is going to be no Bill Belichick or Mike Vrabel on the sidelines, at least head coaching wise for 2024. Um, so more head coaching news yesterday. So the Commanders, they hired Cowboys defensive coordinator Dan Quinn to be their next head coach, um, which I was a little surprised because I just thought, especially after the playoff game that the Cowboys just had, I thought, yeah, I don't think he's getting a job. But he ends up getting a job. He went 43 and 42 with the Falcons as their head coach. This is now going to be his second stint now as a head coach. He went 14 and 23 from 2018 to 2020, which ended his tenure as a Falcons coach. Now, listen, I didn't like this move, but he did improve the Cowboys defense because that was something that was an issue for a couple of years. But I don't know. There were a couple of games this year, including the playoff game, where the Cowboys defense just gave up a lot of points. You'll go to the Seattle game. Again, the playoff game against the Packers. It's just. I don't know. I think the Cowboys just flat out just weren't prepared. But it's just. I don't know. I just feel like that just left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. It just. I was like, I don't think he's going to get a job. He shouldn't get a job after that. But yeah, he goes to the Commanders are like, yeah, come on down, be our new head coach. I don't know. Listen. He did build up a good team with the Falcons. And it did help that he had Kyle Shanahan on his staff, being the offensive coordinator. It's not like he was always it just everything. He was always a bad coach. It's just it changed after. And of course, he was with part of the Seahawks for the couple of years that he was there. They won the Super Bowl. That's what got him the opportunity. With the Falcons. I just think I don't know. It's just ever since that Super Bowl collapse, it's just like, it again left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, and he got the opportunity to be the DC for the Cowboys, and you know what? Again, turn the Cowboys defense around, but still, you're coming off of a playoff game where the Packers dropped 48 points against you. Like, I don't think you should be getting a job. But the Commanders decided that was what they wanted to do, and now the Cowboys got to look for a new DC. So which I'll be honest, I think after what just happened, I think that's beneficial for them. So. Yeah, I don't know. That's the one hire that was kind of a head scratcher, but yeah. So with that, and actually before I get into the topic of discussion here, so there were other coordinator jobs that have been filled. So you had the Ravens promoting Zach Orr to be their new defensive coordinator. Obviously with Mike McDonald now leaving to go coach in Seattle. Then you have the Patriots hiring Alex Van Pelt to be their new OC. So he's going to be that's the Patriots offensive coordinator. The Rams, they promoted Chris Schuler to be their new defensive coordinator. Now with Raheem Morris leaving to become the head coach of the Falcons. Cliff Kingsbury makes his return to the sidelines. He will be the offensive coordinator for the Raiders. So obviously he was the head coach with the Cardinals. Before he was let go, but now he is going to be the OC for the Raiders. And then Liam Cohen is going to be the the new offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And he had two stints with both the Rams and Kentucky over the last few seasons. He spent some time with Sean McVay. So yeah, those are again more coordinator jobs that were filled up. But now, the main topic here is the fact that there's going to be no Belichick or Vrabel. All the head coaching spots have been filled. And it's just really odd. Now, I understand Belichick, I kind of understand Because if he's not willing to adapt and take a back seat and let, somebody else be the GM. So if there's like the power struggle thing, I understand that. But I mean, it's Bill Belichick. And I did see that Marlon Humphrey, he tweeted something, taking a shot at Belichick, talking about and this should end the debate of greatest coach of all time. I don't know. I mean, listen, it's not a good look for Belichick that once Brady left, which we'll talk about in the next segment, the final segment. It's not good that he left and the Patriots just kind of fell apart. That doesn't look good on Belichick. But I mean, I think you still gotta, he still should be given a shot. The fact that he is now he's nowhere now. All the head coaching spots have been filled. It's unbelievable. But, you go to the Falcons, you have a couple of interviews, and they go well. They interviewed, I think, 17 candidates. It's wild that he didn't. You thought when he got the second interview, I thought, okay, I guess maybe he's going to Atlanta. No, they went with Raheem Morris. I mean, even the Commanders. They went with Dan Quinn. Raheem Morris, Dan Quinn. You're taking those guys over Bill Belichick. You can't. I get it. The Patriots are coming off of an awful season, but I don't know. It's interesting. And I don't know where Belichick goes from here. I don't think he's done coaching. I think one way or another he'll find a way back in. But I guess for the time being, he's just gonna have to sit out for this year. And then maybe, this would be good. Maybe this is good for him. Maybe, he takes the year off and, he comes back and, he adapts. Maybe he says, you know what, I got to take a back seat. Because I think the guy could still coach. It's just when it comes to the GM side of things, with drafting and free agency, maybe that's something that he should be. He should have some input, but you should have other people making those decisions. And because the guy could still coach a good defense, and I think, again, you surround him with the right talent, he's still going to be a good coach. It's just, I don't know. It's just that it's about that GM side, and I guess it seems like he doesn't want to give that up. But yeah, and then you got Mike Vrabel. I feel like same thing. Well, listen, he did two different resumes, obviously, but I get it. Some rough years in Tennessee, but how does he not have a head coaching job? You're telling me you couldn't? The Commanders, they didn't consider him. Did Vrabel even? Let's see if we could look it up. Yeah, because Vrabel got interviewed, right? But I guess it never went anywhere. Yeah, it is very strange. Yeah, so he did interview with the Falcons. Yeah, so he did interview with the Panthers as well. But yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand. Listen, I take him as a defensive coordinator or something. I don't know. With the Giants, get him on the staff. But yeah, it's odd. It's odd that these two guys just were left out of the, they're musical chairs. They just they didn't find a chair, and they're on the outside looking in, which is it's strange. But like Belichick, like I said, the power struggle thing that makes sense, but I don't know. But yeah, all the head coaching spots have been filled. Again, anything can happen. Like, a head coach could, resign or something, or, maybe a team's just like, you know what, we want one of those guys, and they just, let go of their current head coach, which again, that scenario I keep saying, but it's not going to happen. It doesn't, or at least I don't think it's going to happen. But, yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's gonna be weird though next year not seeing Belichick on the sidelines, because that's just something that's ever since I started watching football. That's how it's been. Bill Belichick is on the sideline coaching the Patriots, and now not only is he not coaching the Patriots, he's not coaching anybody. Or unless Belichick, bring him in as the defensive coordinator, we'll take him. Um, as I was talking about that with my mom, and we were like, yeah, if make him the DC, and then well, even though he's not going to want to do that, but he becomes the defensive coordinator, and if Dable doesn't work out, then you know promote him to be the head coach. Um, I don't know. It's yeah, it's. I mean, again, I don't really know what else to say, but I think it's one of those things where you gotta adapt. And you see, the coaches that are having success, they adapt. I mean, Andy Reid's had to adapt, coaching for a long time. I mean, it also helps when Patrick Mahomes is your quarterback, but still, like, they're the ones that drafted Patrick Mahomes, and they put him in a good system. He sat behind Alex Smith. You know, it's just I mean, Belichick's like a little different. You kind of just have to say, listen, you got to take a back seat a little bit. Let somebody else make the decisions. When it comes to bringing in players, because Belichick could coach the players, but it's just he's had a lot of flops with free agency and the draft. I mean, drafting N'Keal Harry over DK Metcalf and AJ Brown. It's just it's been a rough couple of seasons for the Patriots. For Belichick. But I think he will find his way back. I don't think he wants to. I think he's still motivated to prove that he can win without Brady. Although again, it's not looking good right now. Especially because when we get into the final part of the show, he was kind of the reason why Brady didn't finish his career with the Patriots. He had some influence in that. So, I mean, they did make the playoffs, but it didn't really matter because they got absolutely destroyed by the Bills. And then it just kind of was a downward spiral from there. 8-9, and then the season they had this year. It's just not good. And I mean, I don't really know what else to say. It's just again, it's going to be strange that he's not going to be on the sidelines in 2024 as a head coach. Vrabel, same thing. I know, again, a couple of rough seasons there in Tennessee, but again, he was part of the team that went to the AFC Championship game. Like, I don't know. I feel like the Titans, their team kind of just like. I mean, I don't think he was the reason AJ Brown got traded. That was a mistake, but that's just that's what they decided to do, and Tannehill, obviously his production kind of dropped the last couple of seasons, which you kind of figured that was going to happen. Once they put him in over Mariota and he was unbelievable, that wasn't gonna last, but yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens, but for the moment, I mean, we're not going to see these guys on the sideline for 2024. So, with that being said, though, we're going to take our final break of the show here, and then when we come back, we will discuss Robert Kraft's regret. So again, there was an article on CBS that I was reading, and he was just basically saying that they shouldn't have gotten rid of Tom Brady, which it was something that was kind of known already, but I just wanted to touch upon it and give my thoughts on that. And that is what we will do when we come back from our final break of the show. So, with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.